Thousand Tail Watcher at $44, and boxes going now for over $250. Is this market ever going to cool down? Well, we're going to look into that as well as the prices as they come and go and see what is in store for us as we try to continue to play this game called Riftbound. Well, what are these prices going to do? Let's go ahead and dive in. So yeah, these prices are gonna be really interesting. I mean, this game did come out on October 31st, and we had a couple of days where the prices were relatively normal. I thought like, oh man, Thousand Tail Watcher at $15, especially for a rare. Well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense and whatnot, and then it skyrocketed up to $44. Not only that, one of the biggest annoyances, unfortunately, is going to be the shortages of the proving grounds, where we're seeing just a lot of prices where, you know, it was definitely underproduced in this case and very difficult to come by. I'm even finding myself still waiting for Riot to be able to ship my proving grounds while I did order back in August in this case, beginning of August, long before they even went, you know, out of stock in this case. And so it's really interesting to see how all of this is affecting it because, I mean, we're seeing, you know, Master Yi prices just being very expensive as well. Cards like Flash, which is an anti-exclusive in that proving ground deck box or in that deck set, going for about $20 and things of that nature as well. That's really difficult for a lot of us to swallow, especially when we are wanting to play these decks and wanting to get able to get into these competitive scenes. And it's like, well, how are we going to? I really want to play Kai'Sa. I don't want to spend $500, $600 being able to build this deck. I want to be able to play Set, but also I don't want to pay $150 for 3 showstoppers. You know, Darius Hook, really fun deck, but I don't want to spend $130 on 3 hooks. And that's going to be something that is very aggravating for a lot of people. And I see that in the comments everywhere on these videos is where it's like, I love what we're able to do. I love playing this game, but I don't want to get into this because it's just way too expensive. And yes, a lot of those feelings are certainly valid. But at the same time, this is a week and a half into this game. There still is a lot to be seen coming from this. American prices are a little bit steeper than what we're noticing in Europe and the UK. That's normal. That's perfectly fine. Nothing big there. But I still want to be mindful of what's going on in the American scene because we're noticing that as we get ever closer to the, you know, regionals and even like the 10K that's coming up in a week and a half, 2 weeks, you know, and even like the 25K down in Orlando, that these prices keep on going up. And it's like, I'm going to keep getting people pushed out and pushed out and pushed out that are really wanting to get into this game, but don't want to pay these steep prices. This is something that still is unfortunately very normal for card games. And it sucks to be able to see these because we want to just go ahead and play this hobby. You know, I would say a good majority of people don't want to go ahead and be in the competitive scene. They don't want to necessarily go to the regionals. They just love League of Legends, but they can't get into this game because it's way too expensive. Now, luckily, there are still some very good decks out there that aren't too expensive that you're able to go ahead and get into. But even still, it is so tough to try to get into this game. And if you're a huge Kai'Sa fan, you're going to have to pay and get out, like I said, a second mortgage to be able to play this deck. If you really like the Dazzling Auroras but you love Misfortune and you want to build that kind of viable deck, well, good luck. You know, again, though, keep in mind that these prices will come down. It sucks that we have to have this kind of patience. I hate that, but we have to keep that in mind. It's going to be really curious to see how all of this is going to be coming down after the regionals in Houston, which is going to be at the beginning of December, and what's going to be happening with that. Shortly after, we're going to be seeing, you know, of course, a lot of things subsiding in price and whatnot, which is going to be very helpful there. And something to really keep in mind about that. We're going to have second wave hitting very soon. We're going to be, you know, hopefully getting some proving grounds going. And that's been pretty aggravating as well, because, I mean, look at this. We're paying $164 for proving grounds. And the difficult thing with that as well is going to be the fact that Riot hasn't specifically come out and said, we're getting more. We've luckily had some, like there's been a couple of boxes that have been found in Bountiful in Utah here at retail, luckily, where people have been able to pick it up at the $40 price point. Best Buy also has been able to get a couple of them as well, again at $40, and that's been very helpful. But it seems like these scalpers are really just trying to pick up these boxes and try to sell them at a premium. And $164, but even still, to sell these cards individually as well, you're pretty much able to make your money back if you're able to find it at $40 and then just flood TCG Player at these market prices. You can make a good profit in that case, and people are taking advantage of that. Likewise, with the booster displays, it's like, well, I want to pick up a box, but I can't because I don't want to pay $300 to get into this game. That is a lot to ask. And even worse, you know, TCG Player is very aggravating because you can go ahead and try to find a box, or you want to find a card that seems like it's a reasonable price, and it's like, oh, item not available. And that gets really disheartening as well, because every single product that you find yourself clicking on that has a decent price, you're going to be, you know, rolling your eyes because it's going to say it's not available, not available, not available. Great. Thank you for that. I love that this just isn't available. It sucks. It really does. But like, it's like, let's just go ahead and play these fun decks. Let's have the people who might be competitive in this and whatnot, you know, definitely stay away from this. You know, they can go ahead and pay these premiums. These prices will still come down. I don't want to sound like a broken record with that. They're going to come down. The second wave is going to hit. They're producing it right now. It'll be interesting to see how successfully they're going to be able to launch this second wave. That's something that I really want to keep an eye on, because if they're able to successfully do that, then that's going to give a lot of hope for this game. If they're not able to, then I really feel like they're almost going to be shooting themselves in the foot and really digging themselves a deep hole right off the get-go. And that can be something that can really hurt your player base and your profit margin, especially as well, in all of that, because people are going to, you know, take one look at the game, and then after that, they don't want to necessarily get in on set 2, set 3, set 4 when this market is finally a lot more manageable. And I don't blame them, you know, and so that's going to be the biggest thing. How are they going to be able to take this set 2 or this wave 2 of this first set and release it back into the masses? And that's going to be our tell on what they are able to do. Riot has specifically said that they do not want this to be an expensive game. And it's like, oh, I get that, but have you seen these prices, Riot? And like, I'm sure they have. And I still want to advocate for them, because I feel like they really want this game to be successful. I feel like they have a lot invested into this, and that they still do care about you, the player. Asterisk there, I'm still a little bit worried. Not going to lie to you about that, but I still want to be, you know, in Riot's corner for a little bit longer. But depending on how they do this set 2, or this, not set, well, yes, set 2, but wave 1 of set 1, or wave 2 of set 1. Tongue twisters here, guys. You know, it can be very difficult to see. So I'm gonna be very curious to see how all of this is going to go. Now, one thing that's really interesting that I absolutely love about this is Magical Meta is a very great website that has come out for the Riftbound community. We're going to be talking about this just because you can go ahead and even see, you know, a lot of the stuff that has gone and fluctuated and fallen in price. This website is just so good to help you out. And again, that is magicalmeta.inc. It's going to be down in the description below. With that being said, this is interesting because we're able to look at, you know, 730 day, you know, whatever else we want to do in this case, 24 hours if we so care. But we're going to go into the 7-day just because comparing to last week numbers, I think that is a lot more important. Now, this is the disheartening side of things over here. is going to be the fact that, Divine Judgment has gone up in price. That's going to be Set's fault mainly in that case. He's been running that a lot more, going up to $25, a 328% increase there. White Flame Protector at the same time as well, going up to $58, was lingering around 30 to 40. We did see an uptick in that, which is really interesting as well. Otherwise, it's been more so the signature cards that have been the mass gainers, overnumbered in this case. And so going to be really interesting to see how that continues to go. I feel like a lot more people are flooding to Lee Sin and Yasuo because they are still very viable decks that can still really help you out in this market while things still calm down. You can still take it to your local game stores. You're going to still be able to go ahead and have a very competitive game, even competitive games against the meta decks, and still have a good chance of winning. That's going to be really interesting to see. Now, this is going to be interesting because, yeah, they've even declined in price as well. That's going to be the big thing here. Down 44 cents, or 44%, down 36% for the Yasuo as well. And so that's going to be interesting to see if that trend continues. I mean, Ari has gone up in price, which is really crazy to see. I would have thought the Kaisa one might have been a little bit better. Or higher in price, but the Ari art just looks so good with the foiling and the texture. It is awesome to be able to see. Now, in this mid value, this is going to be really interesting. The top three gainers, Retreat is one of the most surprising ones for me, I gotta say. Just being at $10, a 75% increase, so about, a $4 increase in that. It's crazy stuff right there. Don't get, again, too worried about that. It is just an uncommon, not a big deal. Kerrigan, the Infernal, really good card, but having almost 100% gain right there. Really interesting to be able to see. Probably people trying to build the Auroras, wanting to run Kerrigan. Really good card to be able to get you a lot of cards in hand as well when you play them. Now, I'm really actually surprised by the top three decliners, mainly it being the alt art for Jinx. She was very popular at the beginning and has had a pretty good drop as well. Not only that, but the alt art, surprisingly. So if you do really like that alt art, now might be a good time to pick that up. But I'm really surprised here that Master Yi has even had kind of like, a 45% drop as well, down to $7.30. That's very, very good to be seeing as well. And it'll be interesting to see if that continues. Now, likewise, one thing that I'm going to be interested about. Wow. Okay, fine. We'll go into mobile mode, I guess. Now, this is going to be really interesting for the low values here. Is Machine Evangel has gone up by 520%. Grand Stratagem, same thing. Still only $2, not a big deal. But it is something very interesting. I think a lot of people are flocking over to Victor because Victor is still a very capable deck that, again, if you're able to go wide and hit hard, you're going to have a lot going for you there. And likewise, the decliners have actually been very interesting. First Mate as well. Love to see First Mate falling in price a little bit. Very fun stuff to see. And so it's going to be very interesting to see how all of this continues to move. One thing that's really sad is Time Warp has officially hit over $100. I mean, look at that spike right there. You're looking at the 1 month spike, and it's come up and down, up and down, up and down, and now it's near $100. That's going to be multiple decks that are playing that, mainly the Aries and the Kaisas. It's tough in that case because that is going to be something that is extremely rare. I mean, someone has a near mint foil and you're like, oh, no, it's not available. That really sucks. And so $100 in for that case. And even then, those aren't even necessarily being found. And that's tough. I get really mad at TCG Player. It's like, guys, please update the website where it's actually showing current prices, because again, we're going to be scrolling through a lot of these and it's like, oh boy, I really want to pick up Dr. Mundo. And I guarantee you, we go ahead and we look at like the not Chinese listing. Oh, it actually worked. Okay, cool. That's surprising. And this is also another thing that is really annoying, is that everyone's selling their Chinese versions, and luckily they are stating that they're Chinese versions, but this is still something that is really annoying because you're thinking, oh, it's a $5 Mundo. Well, no, it's actually not. It's the Chinese version. That's the aggravating part. Now, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of hope still, though, because a lot of these cards, the bulk of the things that you are going to need are very manageable and should be treated as such. Very good to be able to see where all of these prices are at. Now, Tasty Fayfolk, of course, has had a huge climb in this case. He was at $2, you know, but now we're seeing him going up to $6. I mean, he did start, you know, at 8 or 9. It has fallen down to, I remember seeing him at $2 when this first happened, and now he's climbed right back up. But still, I mean, he is such a good card, and I feel like a lot of people are substituting him for like Thousand Tail Watcher and things of that nature, because you still, when he dies, you get such a great ability and being able to channel 2 runes exhausted and being able to draw a card. Just such a great ability. Sabotage, I'm also very happy to see being at a $4 or $5 card. That's very good to see as well. That's a great card to side. We've seen set, even main, 1 or 2 depending on their count as well. Great to be able to see that, and going to be curious to see how all of this is going to continue to fluctuate as well. Leona, again, kind of like a side character there, not going to be mainly in a lot of decks. But I mean, you're looking at these prices, and a lot of these are very competitive, all things considered. Loving how a lot of this is looking. Vayne is going to be one that we're talking about in particular, because again, if you are wanting to play like a cheap version of Kai'Sa in this case, Vayne's going to be a great option for you, being able to go ahead and accelerate. A lot of people who are playing Annie, for example, if you're able to get your hand on Annie, it really sucks because you're not able to get 3 Kai'Sas, because that's going to be $210 to be able to get 3 of those cards. And you're like, oh boy, that's a great feeling there. Go Vayne. Yes, you don't get the card draw. That is a huge issue because Annie needs to maintain card draw in hand. In the meantime, until prices come down, Vayne is a great option. She's $1. Very good to be able to have there, and can be a very great substitute for you as well. And again, I mean, these prices are very, very competitive. You can go ahead and set Kingpin if you so choose. If you're only able to get like 1 set Brawler or whatever it might be. Rasha the Sunderer, again, this is one of the main cards in Teemo. Very cheap card. Echo is someone I'm really actually curious about, and I feel like in set 2, he could have a lot of viability as well. Now, of course, we don't have anything revealed of set 2 yet, but I mean, Echo, he has such a great ability with also even being able to be accelerated, and he's at 63 cents. So definitely one that I am going to be picking up personally, just because I really feel like, depending on where this meta goes, Echo at 63 cents, come on, that is a deal, especially depending on where it can go. Now, this is the tough part, and a lot of people are seeing these seals at very high prices. And again, this is a little bit of a misleading one, because it's like, oh, $10 with $4 of shipping. Oh, it's not there, so I do have to pay $20. That's the hard part. Seals being so expensive. They are hard to pull, don't get me wrong, but man, $20. Ugh. That is tough to be able to see, and a tough pill to swallow for those who want to run, you know, something like Baited Hook, for example, Seal of Unity. You're running 3 of those if you're doing Darius Baited Hook, maybe 2, and you're going to be dropping $60 on that. It still looks like it is coming down a couple of dollars, which is good, but still, this is tough, you know? It's not something that you necessarily want to see in this case, especially in a card game that you just really want to play. We're still seeing things like, you know, Dazzling Auroras in this case. It's going up to $71. Chinese version $50. Get out of here. I hate that. But with that, you know, it is still coming down, at least from like where I saw a couple of pricing spikes at around $90, and so at least it is down to 71. But still, a lot of people are not pulling Dead Bloom Predators, are not pulling the Auroras, not a few more pulling the Time Warps, but they're just in such high demand that is so hard to be able to maintain. Luckily, the runes actually have been coming down. That's been good to see. Little caveat, silver lining there. Now, with that as well, something that is really surprising here is going to be Showstopper. Now, he is such a great card in set. $60 though. Wow. I mean, and he's just had a climb up from 30 all the way up to 60. Again, $28. Not fair. But again, you're able to go ahead and get some of these. Someone actually has a play set, but man, you're going to have to pay out the butt for that. And that is very expensive, unfortunately. And so that's going to be hard to see. But again, a lot of these prices, you're still going to be able to go ahead and get into, you know, one of the B tier decks, low A tier decks for pretty cheap in this case. Cathian Rain, unfortunately, is not looking good at all in this case. Continues to keep spiking up in this case. I'm going to be curious to see $70 at this point. Again, mainly Kai'Sa, just because it can really shut down Kai'Sa in the mirror match being such a great card. But $70, that's a little steep. Baited Hook is actually pretty interesting to see as well. Still $40 in this case, but something to keep in mind that you're going to be able to get these going. Still $150 here if you do end up wanting to run those. Little pricey. But still, we'll see how all of this goes. Set Brawler has been an interesting one. Ends up going for around $20 in this case, $25. You're going to be seeing them actually a little bit closer to around, you know, $30, $32. But still, you might be able to pick up 2 for about $25. And you can still get away with building Set without the Showstopper. And he can still be a very powerful deck without Showstopper, even though, man, that is such a great card and ability that you're able to get with that. So keep that in mind. You know, we have seen Bullet Time go up in price pretty steeply as well. But everything else is actually looking pretty reasonable, all things considered. Again, Victor is going to be one of the cheapest decks that you are able to build in this case. Really good options there. Unchecked Power might be a good switch for you if you're not able to get your hands on a Cathian Rain. At least you're able to do Unchecked Power. That can really help, you know, you be able to still take out your opponent's units and battlefields. That can be very helpful and very to help you out there. But you do have to exert all your units, and it is still a 7 cost. And so I still side this in when I'm going against Yi and Aurora decks because, man, it is just something that is so effective there on clearing the board. And so otherwise, yeah, this is still looking pretty good. Yasuo right there, great card, going for about $7. And everything else is actually pretty sustainable. Now, unfortunately, this Kai'Sa just keeps going up. Glad I bought mine at $60. Still sucks that I did. But, I mean, it's going up to 85 now. Oh, that really sucks. But that's how it is. I mean, heck, even Set Brawler, the alt art, is about the same price as you know, the other alt, or the other set as well. And he's still really good as well. You can go ahead and get a buff on him and be able to devastate your opponent. So, I mean, heck, if you really want to go for this alt art, you know, for $4 more, you're looking pretty snazzy right there. And some bragging rights for not a lot more money. You know, you might as well. Darius, $26, you know, but that's the alt art as well. Keep that in mind. But the regular one is still pretty reasonably priced as well. You know, here's Set Kingpin, $4 or $6 right now. Really good price. And I like all of these alt arts. This Lee Sin, one of the best alt arts in the game. And you're going to be seeing it pretty much in a lot of these games. Some people do side at this deck in. They play the other Lee Sin, but still being able to flip-flop them, and it just looks good as an alt art. Let's be real. So I'm going to be curious to see how this will end up going. This is also the disheartening thing. I've been seeing cases going for between $1,200 and $1,400 on Facebook, but even still, $1,600 on TCG Player for 6 boxes. Little stupid right there. And not worth our time, unfortunately. That would be really nice. Otherwise, guys, these prices are, like I said, pretty normal and things of that nature. I don't want to make this video too long in this case, but it does feel like a lot of these prices are normal here, outside of the chase cards that are meta relevant. And there again are still going to be those budget options that can still get you a lot of viability here. I'm going to be really curious to see what we continue to do to proving grounds. Luckily, like at least, Yi and Annie are able to be picked up for pretty cheap. But the, like even Annie Legend, her legend card, for example, is currently going for $10. That already has dropped. I mean, that was at, well, I think like $22 from her starter deck in the beginning. And now it looks like a lot of people have been getting their proving ground stuff going. That's been awesome to see. And you've been able to see a lot of drop in prices as well. One final thing that I really want to look at that is just really cool. Top seller, average daily quantity sold. We're not going to be looking at the runes. Stacked deck. This is going to be interesting. 175 sold daily. That's why you're going to be seeing this premium price at $7.91. So many people are running it, and rightfully so. It is one of the most powerful cards in this game. If you're running Annie, Yasuo, Teemo even, you are able to go ahead and use that. That is 3 decks that run a 3 of in that case, and that's going to be moving things up. Sprite Mother again going up to 379, 147 in that case sold daily. Thousand Tail Watcher, about 1,000 sold in that case over the 7 days. Pretty crazy right there. $44, pretty big right there. Zonia's Hourglass, near 1,000 again sold, 137 daily, $14. Ride the Wind, again, people building Yasuo. I even run it in Teemo just because when you drop a Mundo, or if you just need to get back into the game quickly, Ride the Wind can be something to get you right back into it. Kiana, very great card right there, 892, 880. Falling Star, originally a $2-3 card, spiked up to about $23, $24, now down to about $14. We're still seeing a good decline, and it can continue to fall, especially once Wave 2 starts to hit. And again, right here as well, Tide Turner. A lot of people running and turning to Teemo. 887 in that case, 44 cents though. Very competitive right there. 126 a day. Mundo again, Teemo, all that jazz. 126, Retreat. I mean, 880 right there, 272 in that case. So we got to be a little careful about where all of that is going. And then, of course, the last one right where I'm at is Darius at $10.15 at about 118 sold on the daily in that case. And over the 7-day period, 828, which actually really isn't too bad because we saw Darius go up to about $15 to $20 at his peak, and now he's coming down again, which is great. So I'm still very optimistic about where this market is going to be going. And we're going to continue to keep an eye on that. So every week on Sunday, we are going to be doing these videos. So go ahead and, subscribe, like this video. We're going to continue to watch this market develop. And hopefully when Wave 2 comes, these prices are going to plummet. I do think that we are going to see a slight downturn after people who are playing in Houston. A lot of those people after they're done might just turn to flip their cards essentially, and they're like, oh, I actually don't want to play this deck anymore, and that could drive the prices down as well. But time will tell. We're going to continue to bring you these videos and see where this turns. But thank you guys so much for being here. How are you feeling about these current market prices? What decks are you wanting to build but haven't been able to because of this price, these price points? And what decks are you bringing to your locals? What are you bringing to your Nexus Nights? I know for me personally, I am bringing Kaisa because I am playing in the Vegas tournament. But, we are seeing a lot of people bringing Yasuo's, Teemos, and even Victors have been doing a lot. And a lot of people are just upgrading their structure decks, and rightfully so. They are so good at being able to still be competitive with a chance of going against the meta. And so I still feel like, the local scene has taken a step back, and that's fine. We'll see how it continues to go. But anyway, guys, let me know down in the comments below. So excited to hear from you. And until next time, have a good one.